Hey, what's going on, everyone? Today we're going to talk about this Reddit post of Trump running away. This man is fleeing from the trade war or the tariff war that he just started. It's crazy. It's just asinine. It shows you how weak you are and that you didn't plan out strategically how you're going to implement what you wanted out of this tariff war. Welcome back to the channel. Hit that like, share, and subscribe for more of my opinions as to what I see going down in the economy, in business, in stocks, whatever the case may be. I'm going to give you my perspective. We're going to react to some of these posts that is here on Reddit and try to get everyone else's opinion as to how they view the situation with Trump running away from something that he started. He's the one that initiated this fight. And now you can see that he's pulling back. So let's go ahead and break down this post right here. You guys can see that Trump is terrified. He ran away from the tariff war that he started after CEOs of very prominent businesses told him that in a couple of weeks, our shelves are going to be empty. It's one thing to completely rush in and bulldoze your way, thinking that you are the world power, to only come back a couple of days later, a week or so later, and say, all right, cool. Because of my people, my citizens won't have any food on the shelves, any product on the shelves, I kind of need to pull back on what I started. Now, he's not going to come out and say that he's sorry for what he did. He's just going to try to play it down. He's going to try to seem as if it wasn't his fault. That is the mind of this man sitting in the office right now. Let's talk about it. So here's the article right here from the Daily Beast. Okay. Right here. Beginning of this article. Trump radically softened some of his most severe rhetoric after CEOs of the nation's biggest retail chains warned him of looming price rises and empty shelves. Here are the CEOs of Walmart, Target, and Home Depot met privately with Trump on Monday and told him that although prices were steady at the moment, his trade policies would have a devastating effect within just 2 weeks with supply chain. This is what Axios reported. 2 weeks. Like, hey, Trump, you need to pull back on this tariff war, because if you continue to go forward with all of this high tariffs, we ain't going to have nothing on our shelves. And if you don't have the backing of the people, then you best believe that you're not going to win. Trump should have prepared the people of America that this is going to hurt, and at least given them some amount of time to get prepared for empty shelves. And as you can tell, he didn't do that. He just ran straight in, caused a whole lot of ruckus, and now he needs to pull back because these prominent CEOs had to speak privately with him. It's like, look, Trump, it ain't going to look good for you, because if you don't have the backing of the people, you're not going to win any war. You need to make sure that you have people willing to fight for you in order to implement and get success out of the war that you just started. Quote, this wasn't about food, but he was told that shelves will be empty, a source told the outlet. The president was also reportedly spooked by investors' reaction to his threats to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Stocks, bonds, and the dollar all slumped this week until Trump abruptly toned down his statements. He talks like he's big and bad, and when people on the opposite end of him talking, when they start to prepare, react, try to protect themselves for what he's trying to do, he sees the impact, and now he wants to bring it down a notch. Crazy. He told reporters on Tuesday he didn't plan to play hardball with China. Then what in the world was he increasing these tariffs for? Because initially, where did he start out with the tariffs where he increased on China? And then China turned around and did the same increase. And then he went ahead and turned it up to 145%. China did the same thing. Then he went ahead and did 200-some%. China did the same thing, to the point to where China was like, look, Trump, this is meaningless now, because eventually you're going to price everyone out of the market. They won't be able to afford the products that you already have on the shelves or that will be imported from our country. Trump, he has no idea of how this terror war works, even though he thinks that it's going to bring in revenue. Cool, it might bring in revenue, but also will it bring in increase in prices for your people? This is what he said. 145% is very high, and it won't be that high, he said. According to CNN, quote, it won't be anywhere near that high. It will come down substantially, but it won't be zero. Early in the day, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent had told investors at a closed-door event hosted by JP Morgan Chase that the president's trade war was unsustainable and he expected it to de-escalate. Again, these are the people who tried to institute a war thinking that they can win, didn't have a plan. China was prepared, and they were ready to fight back against the terror war against America. And now here it is. You can see who the losers are. It's the United States. And the United States is losing on so many fronts rather than just the increase in tariffs. One, China owes a whole lot of U.S. debt. So the moment that they start hitting that sell button on the debt that they hold in America, guess what's going to happen to the bonds? Exactly. People ain't going to want to buy American bonds. Two, America doesn't manufacture nearly half of the things that China manufactures. So if you're going to institute a trade war, it may not want to be with the people that creates the products that you need, that your people need. You might not want to start a terror war with them. So this is revealing to us that America needs to get its house in order first before it goes out and tries to bully the other nations. It took people to speak privately with these men in these positions to show how incompetent this policy, this tariff war that they're creating, is not just going to hurt these other nations, it's going to hurt your own people. Did not people tell this to them before they even pulled the trigger? Why did it have to take actual things happening in the economy, in the bond market, on actual businesses' store shelves for them to say, all right, we can't fight against China? I know I went ahead and tweeted out some things that act like I was all big and bad. China called the bluff, and it looked like they were right. China was right in calling the bluff of Trump and his administration. Let's go and look at some of these comments and react to them real quick. It's truly shocking. This is the first post right here or comment. It's truly shocking that CEOs like those of Walmart, Target, Home Depot had to directly warn Trump about the possibility of empty shelves. Apparently, they predicted this could happen within just 2 weeks. A terrifying prospect indeed. Think about it. Here it is. You and I, we're walking around, minding our own business, doing our ordinary lives, and just think that in 2 weeks, the product that you and I go buy won't be there on the shelves. Just think about how close we were to having nothing or a lot less product on shelves. That is something that Americans are not used to. They are not used to going into stores and not having the product available for them to buy. Trump has been in office less than 200 days, 150 days, and he has already caused a whole lot of issues that everyone across the world is going to have to get accustomed to. This is one scenario to which if you're not ready, that you're not going to get any assistance from this administration. They're not going to give you a warning. Say, look, I'm about to start this tariff war. And when I do, we're not going to have a lot of product on the shelf. So you might want to, build up a little bit, stock up on some supplies, some items, because once I pull this, once we begin and do the green light on this tariff war with these other nations, I want you all to be ready. He did not even do that at all. So like in 2 weeks, you'd have been turning around like, what in the world just happened? Why isn't there any product on these store shelves? Well, it's because that Trump has priced you out the market. That's the reason. That's the cause right there. Let's go ahead and look at the next comment. Peter Navarro disputed them, though, and Trump trusted Peter more than all of them. is so bad, Bassett and the CEOs had to wait until Peter elsewhere went elsewhere to teach Trump about how economics actually works. People had to tell Trump, because apparently Peter Navarro is the one that's trying to get him to run this terror war with these other nations. Think about it. You had outside people who has to operate these companies and call Trump up on the phone like, hey man, look, check this out. I know you think that you're going to win or you want to win this terror war, but I know prices look good stated right now. In 2 weeks, we ain't gonna have no product. Trump like, oh shoot. All right, cool. We might have to pull back on, my rhetoric and how that we're not going to go hard at China anymore. Somebody else also left a post or a comment. Trump is a certified F-wit. If you voted for this BS, you're also a F-wit. Okay. Next comment. Trump starting a trade war and running when CEOs said your voters won't get Doritos is peak 2025 energy. Yeah. The people who voted Trump in office would definitely be looking at Trump's side eye like, dang, bro, like I voted for you. How you gonna do me like this? You didn't even give me a heads up telling me to get prepared for this. You just went gung-ho and told the world that you're going to increase tariffs on everybody. Wanted to show that you have the kahunas. Is that what they call it? That you got the balls to try to throw it back at these other nations. Not thinking that you may, in fact, be harming your own people. The CEOs had to tell you, Trump, they ain't going to like you if they can't get their Doritos. They're not going to like you if they can't get their products off of our shelves. Next comment. The people that support Trump don't realize that the damage has already been done. Even if he pulls back on these tariffs, our trading partners are trying to find other avenues as we speak. Yeah, they don't trust America no more like that. Things are going to go up no matter what. Things are going to get harder for the American people because Trump and his economic team don't understand basic economics. And there's been many other economists saying the exact same thing. We're in for a long haul here. That doesn't even touch the breaking down of the Constitution and disregarding basic human rights and due process. What a disaster. Now, if you were a president of a nation and you have people that you had to care for and protect, how would you be viewing America now? Especially if you were perceived in prior administrations of an ally. And now you have a new person sitting in this administration and they're going to go ahead and do you like this. Would you see America the same? Because you still have 3 years of this person being in an administration. And he's already done this to you. Of course, you would try to go around and prevent this from happening again. You're going to try to create new relationships, new trade agreements, even with those that you may perceive as your enemy. That's one of the biggest things that I have realized is that even though America has enemies or, quote, perceived enemies, i.e. China, why would you create an economy that you depend on them for if they're your enemy? If somebody is your enemy, you don't want to do anything, or you don't want to have anything to do with them. You want to try to stay away from the enemy. But yet and still, America is truly involved, entangled with China in every aspect of life. Which is why you have to tread lightly when you're trying to implement tariffs on China. You don't think China has thought about this decades ago? Been planning for this decades ago? That's why they're out creating agreements with other nations right now. That's why they're part of the BRICS. They are breaking away from America. Now, the question to you who are Americans, are you willing to break away, or will you be willing to stand firm 10 toes down with Trump? Because if you're going to stand 10 toes down with Trump, guess what? You're going to have to get prepared for some empty shells. You're going to have to make some sacrifices that you may not be ready to do. So think about what you're willing to fight for. Because the fight, if it's going to continue with Trump in the next 3 years and maybe longer, you need to get prepared now. Get your house in order. Because if he's not going to give the people if Trump is not going to give the people a heads up, and you're going to have a very short time to prepare and get ready, you need to start today. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Get prepared. Let me know your thoughts. Make sure you maintain profitability. And as always, trade different.